Okay, part two. Sorry, guys. So, what we've done is we have now dried our Crackle medium, and you can see that it looks very shiny where I've applied it. All right. We've even bubbled up some of the Crackle medium because my heat gun was a little too close. I noticed that I did that over here in a few spots, but honestly, I just think it adds more texture, right? So Katie's is currently drying. So we're going to actually talk about the two different types of brush strokes and Crackle that you can get with this. So on the back of mine, I just brushed on my Crackle medium in long strokes. All of the rest, it's dabbed on like we did in our previous session. So Katie, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take my Fusion Mineral Paint. This is cashmere. It's actually an old jar, so it's really thick, but I love that because it could give us even a little bit more texture. And I'm going to rinse my brush out. And by all means, ask us any questions. Thanks for sticking there with us.
Okay, so I noticed that you used a little bit of water to loosen up the stuff.
I did, just because I've got a really dry bunch of paint here and I want to get it used up.
Okay.
Okay, so I want you to brush that on.
So linear as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
And do I want it to be thick or do I want it to be kind of a thinner coat?
Either. Well, this is thicker paint, so I don't mind if we have a little thicker texture in there. And
like something like that, I want to cover
that you do want to cover it. Okay, and so what you're going to see right away is it's already beginning to show the crackles, right? And because this is because of the one component, we can add multiple layers, and it's still going to crackle.
Multiple layers of paint?
Absolutely.
Oh.
So I say that because we are putting a light paint over a dark paint. And so I might want to add a second coat to get more complete coverage so I don't have that dark streaky paint coming through. But why don't we go ahead? Let's dry this. Then we can add another coat to get better coverage.
So the second coat wouldn't fill in those cracks that you've already formed?
No, it's probably not going to. I mean, if you put on like super gobby, hugely thick paint, yes, that could potentially happen.
Oh but my gosh, look at it go.
Yeah, but what I want you to notice is we brush on our Crackle this way, and you brushed on your paint that way. So the cracks are going to follow the brush strokes. See
what
that?
if you had done like a counter, like a
if
crisscross?
You would, well, why don't you go ahead and try it? Okay. And you know something? I love that you ask these questions because I think it's important when you are using a new product, when you're trying something for the first time or the second or third, like do a little sample. And so you ask, what would happen if? Now you can answer that question for yourself, and you can go ahead and let's see what would happen if.
All right, so now I'm doing it the opposite direction.
Let's see what happens.
I feel like this also almost looks like a wood texture.
It does, doesn't it? So you can get a lot of different effects. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to move that over there, sorry. Did anybody come back to watch our part two?
I don't know yet.
Okay. So. Okay, so let's go ahead and dry. Like with all the Crackles, you can speed up that process by applying heat. You just want to keep it moving.
This is amazing to witness it. Like,
isn't it cool?
Have you guys ever done a time lapse?
We should do that.
That would be really cool.
Never with Crackle. We've done time lapse, but not with Crackle. That would be really cool. You're right.
Okay, so I see it's bubbling up a little.
Okay, so that means you're holding your. Yep. Let's get that down.
Okay, the Crackle. This is the one component Crackle.
Keep it moving.
Oh.
These babies get hot, so you really got to keep them moving.
And is this just a hair dryer?
No, this is a heat gun.
Oh.
So, so let's take a look. Hopefully we can see that.
Just so everyone knows, there is a collection. I see a lot of people asking what we're using, and I know it's been kind of confusing, but there is a link in the description, both on Facebook and YouTube, where you can find everything that Mom and Katie are using today. They're using Fusion Mineral Paint and one-step Crackle, one-component Crackle. Would this Crackle be okay to use on milk paint, Mom?
Sure. So my paint wasn't dry. So I pulled, it slipped right away from that layer underneath. So that's an important thing to, like, I can feel it kind of moving a little bit.
You mean your Crackle wasn't dry?
The paint on top.
Now, if I was doing this at home and time was not an issue, would I just let this air dry? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay,
that is always the best practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm confused by that. Well, it makes, of course, you just painted it. It wouldn't be dry. Why does that mean that it would slip away?
She rubbed it.
Because the Crackle medium underneath is a resist. It resists the paint. It's like a shiny surface.
So it's just because you touched it, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I smudged it.
Okay.
So I do want to caution you, if you are using a heat gun or a hair dryer, you do want to be careful.
It is cool.
It's so cool to see it emerge.
It is. So with that second coat, maybe I'm not seeing as many, but I'm also as many cracks, but I'm also working with a really thick paint. Probably as this dries and cures more, you'll see more cracks emerging. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference now, putting it on with a different type of medium. Let me get some of this.
Should Katie put a little paint on hers while you're doing that?
She could, yeah. Let's just make sure we thin that out.
So we've got about 13 minutes left.
You're kidding?
Nope.
Okay.
So that's why I thought maybe if she got started, we could see the resist a little bit where she put her
Why don't you
beeswax.
try here?
My back.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. And I'm going to start applying on the front my paint. And I'm going to use just a sea sponge. And I'm just going to dab it on. So I'm not going to have those long linear brush strokes.
Oh. Now, could you have dabbed this paint the way we dabbed the Crackle? Or would you not recommend that?
With a brush? Sure,
Yeah.
you can. Mm-hmm. I would just use an old brush.
Okay, yeah, because it could ruin the bristles.
Mm-hmm. Or a combination. Like I'm just always willing to try different things. So here I am. I'm just dabbing, right?
So should I do a second coat, or if I wanted it to be cracklier?
Why don't we just let's leave it? Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay.
You know, there's no perfect science to any of this Crackle business. It's going to depend on so many different factors as far as how it's going to crackle. So what you can do, Katie, is you can start dabbing with that brush in especially around the edges of your molds. But it can depend on the temperature, the humidity, the type of paint you're using, the application technique. There's so many different variables.
You mean what the Crackle looks like at the end?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Which is kind of fun.
It is fun, but that's why I would also say, like, if you were going to do this, I would start, here's what I would do. I would paint the bottom and try your technique on the bottom with the products that you're going to be using and see what happens. And then you'll know if you need to adjust.
And is this like pretty important to get thorough coverage?
Again, if you have some of the dark paint showing through, it's really just going to
that would kind of add to the distressing.
That's exactly right.
We're pulling the white paint off anyway.
Yes,
right?
that's exactly right.
But the thickness of the layer of paint you put over the Crackle doesn't affect the crack, like how it will crackle, or
Yes, it can.
So should it be like a nice thin layer of paint that you're putting over it?
I think that it just depends on what kind of paint you're using. This is just an average paint, but okay, hopefully you can see what's happening here. Because I dabbed that paint on, see here?
Oh yeah. Ooh,
But
that
it's
looks
more,
so cool.
yeah, it's a finer crackle, and a little more random, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not quite as
Okay,
long.
I want you to try the sponge
Okay.
to fill in around the rest. And then just come over on camera a little bit if you can. Guys, thank you so much for your patience today. We, boy, every issue that could go wrong went wrong.
Not true. Don't even say that.
Could always be worse.
And I can't wait to go home and go to bed.
Yes.
So this sponge,
That's
like
a sea
it's
sponge.
a sea sponge. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I've also used,
Like a dish sponge?
I've also used
Oh,
one
yeah.
of these kind of stencil sponges as well.
All right. So do I need to get over my molds more, probably, or not
Well,
necessarily?
not necessarily, because I think that we like that depth of color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh,
Oops.
very nice. That looks great.
I really love that.
Yeah. So, Megan, could you go and quickly dry this of Katie's? And we're going to look back here. And see, my paint is still soft back here. So I'm not going to touch this probably tomorrow. I'll see more cracks there. But look at what's happening here. See that? Can you see the cracks?
So cool.
Isn't that neat?
Okay, so it looks like something you just picked up at an antique shop or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
would
I'm
say
gonna try to get mine a little drier.
I thought this was gonna stay chocolate brown.
Did you want it chocolate brown?
No, I really didn't actually. So I'm very pleased with this.
Okay, so if what you could have done, like if you wanted a brown box, but you wanted that texture and that crackle, is you could have painted the light color first. And the dark over top, and when it cracked, you would see the white
underneath. Okay.
That's exactly right.
And if you're mimicking, like, or you want it to look like antique-y, is there a certain, like, go-to that you always do? You usually do the dark first and then the light, or not
I think
necessarily?
it just depends on what color, what the ultimate color is that you want for your finished piece.
Wow, that
But
looks
look
so
at how,
good.
see all that?
Yes.
And you know, and I do always want to remind people that we're doing very quick steps here. So we're not allowing things to dry completely on their own, and we're rushing things, and so you always get the best effects, the best results when you allow your products to dry naturally.
Okay. That looks so cool, though.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it, too. And now, to me, it looks like it's just going to, like, chip off, but it won't.
No, it's only going to come off where we had that beeswax. So that's why I want to at least get this front side nice and dry so that you can distress that back and reveal the dark layer underneath, and we'll quickly apply a little bit of glaze over the top to finish the look.
I can't wait to see it. And so, does the glaze then just give a little shine? Does it protect it? Like, what's the
glaze?
goal of the glaze?
We're going to be using the antiquing glaze. We don't need an additional finish over this because Fusion has a built-in top coat.
Okay.
So the antiquing glaze is a transparent glaze medium, which we will apply, then wipe away the excess, and it settles into all of the cracks and the detail. Yes. It just,
and you said it's clear, but it looks brown.
No, this is antiquing glaze.
Oh,
so there is a clear glaze that you can mix colors with, but today we're going to use the pre-mixed antiquing glaze.
Is this specifically like Is all the antiquing glaze this color? Or can you choose different colors?
No, there's antiquing glaze and there's a clear glaze.
Okay, so just
and there's
two
also
options.
with other brands, there's like Debbie's has a couple of different options as well. But since we're using Fusion, I thought we'd focus on Fusion.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab just a little sandpaper, little sanding block. And now, in order to distress this even more, I'm just going to take my sandpaper right along my paint and see how easily that's chipping off?
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's where I had applied that beeswax. So the paint on top is resisting and it just more easily flakes off. So you can go ahead and try that on yours.
Okay. Now I gotta remember where I put my beeswax.
Patty, I would love to say it's the third time is the charm, but this is actually the fourth time.
What's that, Patty?
So, yeah.
Patty.
Hogan.
I feel like a lot of mine is coming off. Is that bad?
That's okay. No, it's not bad. There's nothing bad in crafting. There's just
I think
results.
that has to be my motto.
Absolutely, yes. An artist never makes mistakes. That's what we say.
Okay, I like that.
So it's going to
Doesn't always
depend.
get
That
turned
could
into
be the
something
field
else.
for me.
Yeah, it's going to depend on where you put that beeswax.
Karen said, so what happened to the wax? Did I miss something?
The wax.
Well, you probably did, because we have really, you would have to go back and watch part 1, and you would see that Katie and Mom both created a resist between the layers of paint with a beeswax block to make it easier to distress the edges.
And I'm going to go ahead and just see what happens if I do this back here. Again, I just want to say that whatever happens, happens. You know, it's and I don't want to minimize people's,
Frustration.
no, their budget or their budget for supplies or their time as a resource.
Yep.
But that's why you want to choose something small and get it worked out before you actually do your project.
Would this be something, because we are in a time pinch today, could we set it down like partially finished and then come to it later and it wouldn't affect the overall look?
Absolutely. So, and once you apply that Crackle, it's there. It's going to stay there. It's going to be shiny. Because I'm not sticking around to finish mine either.
Okay.
I'll come back tomorrow at some point maybe, and I'll just give the rest of mine a top coat. And
You're going to go back in with antiquing glaze, right?
yep,
To
and we're
show
going
off
to do
those
that
cracks?
now. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
2 minutes.
Yep.
Let's see how fast you
Okay.
can finish. We got
Okay,
this. But
this
that's
is
where you see the
antiquing
real
glaze.
payoff, I think.
Okay. Well, then we gotta stick around
Yes.
for this.
Okay. I know these girls now we're back to school, so
We have a hard out, which wouldn't have been a problem if we didn't start 4 times.
I know, right? So I've taken
That's
my
okay.
brush. I've wet my brush just a little bit, and I'm going to brush that glaze right over top. Get it all down in my.
This, because it's just a top coat, doesn't matter if it's like linear.
It's not a
or-
top coat.
Well, it's
It's
a
a
glaze,
glaze,
but
yeah.
that is also
Oh,
it
I
is
like it.
working as a top coat.
Kind of. No, it's not.
It seals it. A glaze seals it.
Yeah, but I don't want to confuse people about.
No, but I do think it's important to know that it can be a finishing layer. You don't need to put an additional top coat
You
or
don't need
wax
to
on
with
top
any
of a
the
glaze.
Fusion products. No, you're right. Could you get me some clean water, please?
But it's called antiquing glaze. It's not a top coat, but it is a
Correct.
finishing product.
But the linear
Okay,
strokes
so let's get a
versus
little
dabbing.
bit more. Let's get a little bit more on there.
Oh.
Yes, her question still is a good question, Mom. Does it matter in this case how
No.
she puts it on?
It does not. That is
Okay.
major.
So when you say put a little bit more on,
See
it's
how
because it
thick
was
mine
darker?
is?
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna remove any excess.
Oh, so you kind of want a little excess to remove.
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And I need a piece of paper towel, Megan.
Is that good, or shall I glob on some more?
Let's get.
I can't see
I
that
know
side.
we are. Well, what did I tell you?
Turn
You
it.
can turn it. Yes.
Okay.
It is hard to get used to that.
Okay, so I'm going to take a damp paper towel, squeeze out the excess. Where am I coming up with all this? Okay, and then I'm going to gently remove that excess. And you can remove as much or as little as you like. We let it kind of settle into the cracks and crevices and around that detail. See that?
Yeah.
So we're just removing the uppermost surfaces on the molds, really.
Meryl says, I'm not like the other crafters. I don't wait for my paint to dry. I'm very messy, very rushed, not demure. I don't use top coat, very reckless, very inconsistent.
Are
Well, you
you?
fit right in.
And it's
here.
This
okay.
sounds like my kind of
Yes.
gal.
And it's okay. And I think that, Meryl, that is the way that we also learn about our products and learn what they do. And sometimes we discover brand new techniques by being willing to experiment or just be totally random.
Did I take enough off? do you
That
think?
is beautiful. Okay, so here's mine. Look at that beautiful crackle texture and where we chipped away the paint. I've got the glaze on there, which really gives that an added layer of texture. This is something, you guys, any of you can do. You can get the small container of Crackle Medium. You can get 2 samples of Fusion Paint, contrasting colors, and you can do this too. And it's such a quick and easy and basic project that's not so basic that you wouldn't use it.
Well, I also think it looks very professional.
It looks incredible.
It looks incredible,
I didn't
Katie.
have a hard time doing this, but it looks like I really worked hard.
Really amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome.
You learned a new thing today.
I might give this as a gift.
Really?
Maybe. We'll see how the finished product
Well,
turns
that
out.
She can't say because it might be for
It might be
for
for
you.
Megan or
For you.
Okay. Well, you might have to come back, and you might have to.
She's gonna come
Might
back.
have
There's
to
no doubt
finish
about
this.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I will.
So I don't know when our next time is together,
But we will plan it.
but we can say, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. So long. We'll
Oh.
see you again soon.
Learn this song. Do you do this every time?
No.
Okay.
Oh, actually, Mara and I sang that to each
And
other.
actually,
It
this
was so
might
hard
be,
to say goodbye to her.
Oh.
This video actually might be demonetized.
Bye, everyone.
Exactly. They might think I'm actually Carol Burnett singing.
Better get some copyright.
All right, guys. Let me show you very quickly. Katie, thank you. We'll see
You're
you
welcome.
again. We'll set up
Okay.
a date
Sounds
and
good.
do another
I would love to.
another project.
Learning so much. Thank you so much.
You guys, let us know what you want Katie to learn the next time we go live. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you these new products. We've got 2 new stamps from Tim Holtz. This one is called Framed Frights, and boy, is that ever cute! Oh my goodness, look at that. They're 4 little scenes, and there's some little wordage here. These are adorable. You could actually create mini art, like in our little frame, like little vintage frames would be adorable. I might do that actually, since JR filled a bunch of little mini frames for me with Masonite. But there's that one. There is this one, which is called Curator. It's all stamps and postage, so you can use these individually, or how fun would it be to create a background on a page with an entire sheet, right? cool stamp. The red rubber stamps are so beautifully, highly detailed. We grabbed a couple of the Halloween stencils. We've got, what is this one called? This is called Jack's. So you can do a dark layer and then do one of these guys over top for a dimensional look. We've got Bones. Let me see. Yep, this one's called Bones. Again, you could layer a dark layer and then let that dry and layer on top of this with the same stencil, shift it over a little bit, like do black underneath, do white or a putty color on top, shift it just a little bit and it's going to give you a shadow effect. Very cool. And then we have Batty. Great, just flight of bats. How cute, right? And so that's what we've got with Tim Holtz. And the Roy Cycle collection is now live on our page. Megan has shared that link. But the Royce fall and holiday papers have been released. I don't have all of them. I've got, there's a few sitting over at the post office. There was a little bit of a mix-up with the ordering, but I want to show you what we have. And forgive me, I don't have the names of these, but this is like a Christmas postage. I could totally see this just all in one on a tray, for example, and you pick your designs to go on a tray. Awesome. Or as a background with something over top. Really cool. And then we have this beautiful fallish neutral, these neutral backgrounds. We've got a beautiful little tartan and then a smaller bit of neutral ticking, like a ticking stripe. Okay, just a good, useful bit. We have tapestry, which is two beautiful tapestry pieces reminiscent of old rugs. Very cool. Love these. Great backgrounds again for these. Or on a tabletop. Oh, if you had the right size little end tabletop, that would be so neat. This is art blocks. These are just artwork in themselves. Like you could totally decoupage. We got some sheep in the tree. These look like they are from antique oil paintings or lithographs, oil paintings. But look at that. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to read the name of the artist, but these have just a beautiful look to them. They can be used year round. And here's a couple of winter scenes. Very pretty. Really, really pretty. Again, think mini artwork. Little mini artwork to pop into your gallery wall. And this is called journal pages, I believe. And it is Christmas journal pages. Forgive me, I'm not sure. But again, just all random scenery, all done in black and white and neutrals, very pale green here, but so pretty. And then these little bits right here that you could actually do cards with these sections. Then there's also, let me see, there's two more I think coming. One of them is, oh shoot, I can't think of the name of it. It's a dark academia, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but let me switch us. And there you go. You can see the pictures of all of these on our website, but I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'll try to get this video edited, and then we will touch base with you on Wednesday. Take care.